A brand new short series on the channel, Saving Bournemouth. AFC Bournemouth. It's been a fairy tale rise for the Cherries over the last decade, from a points deduction and narrowly avoiding relegation from League 2 in 2009 to beginning a fifth straight Premier League campaign in 2019. 2019-20 though, it's been a difficult year for Eddie Howe's men, and now with just a game to go, they look nailed on to drop through the relegation trapdoor. What went wrong this season, and how could Bournemouth have been saved? Welcome to Saving Bournemouth, a new short series here on the channel. My name is Clates and this is Clates FM. We're going to do 5 episodes of this, with the premise being, can we right the wrongs of Bournemouth's season? We do though of course have the benefit of hindsight in our favour for this, and the fact that we're going to do it on a game, which is probably easier than IRL management. So today's first episode is going to involve us being appointed manager. We're going to check out the club vision, we're going to check out the squad, and then we're going to fast forward to deadline day. We're going to ramp up the pressure, see if there's any late business that could have been done to save Bournemouth's season. We're in. AFC Bournemouth hire Clates. Media prediction of 14th there. So you see that perhaps this year Bournemouth have underachieved a little bit, and the team looks like this, at least according to the best 11 there. So Josh King, Wilson up top. They've got Jefferson, Lerma, Billing in the midfield, Ryan Fraser on the right, Dan Juma left. Cook, Ake. I mean, Nathan Ake is really talented. Ramsdale's not a bad keeper. That's the makings of a pretty strong team. I think with a little bit here and there, this team can definitely stay up. We'll get into the reasons why I think they've struggled this year. The club vision says that we need to play possession football, but attacking football, something that Eddie Howe's made his own sort of brand of and style of football. That needs to continue. We need to work within the wage budget as always. Interestingly, by the end of the season, the board are expecting us to make mid-table, not just to avoid relegation, which again goes back to the fact that maybe Bournemouth have underachieved this year. In terms of the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, it's sort of the normal expectations for a Premier League team. 5th round for FA Cup, 4th round for Carabao. As I said before, we're going to fast forward now to deadline day. We're going to put the pressure on a little bit. We're going to have a bit of a frantic final day of the window. Jim White is loving it. He's got his yellow tie on. See if there's anybody that we can pick up. See if we need to sell anybody on deadline day. Make it go a little bit quicker and more exciting. Let's go. So it's Wednesday the 7th of August. It's midnight, which means it is deadline day. The window slams shut. It always seems to slam shut, doesn't it? Jim White's always saying it's going to slam shut. It doesn't just close gently. The window slams shut at 5 p.m, which means we have less than 24 hours to get this work done, and there is work to be done. I have spoken to some Bournemouth fans. I've done some research of my own, I know, and I've also had a look at the stats for the season. I've picked up some key points that we're going to try and address on today's deadline day. My first point is depth. Bournemouth need more squad depth, especially due to the injuries that they've picked up. If we have a look at how they start off the 2019-20 season on FM, they start with 7 injuries to key first team players. If we just go down this list as well, the likes of Charlie Daniels is out for 12 to 13 months with a damaged kneecap. Stanislas 5 to 6 months. Adam Smith 3 months. David Brooks 8 to 9 months. Dan Gosling out for 4 months. Lloyd Kelly 2 to 5 weeks. Dan Juma 3 to 5 months. Those are long-term injuries, and that really has an impact on this squad straight away. You've also got the likes of Jermaine Defoe, who's out on loan at Rangers, but making that move permanent. It's a small first-team squad to start with. One of the things I'm going to focus on is seeing if I can bring in some squad depth in the window. And so I went to work. I went to the transfer market and I had a look for some players that could provide some squad depth. The first place I looked, as you can see by this here, is the free transfer market. Players that had their contracts already expired. It may seem a little bargain basement, but actually just to fill out the squad in terms of just getting numbers in, there was a few players that could definitely do that job. The first that I had a look at was Adil Rami. World Cup winning defender, French. He's 33. He's not going to be a starter, but you can see he would accept a contract that was less than 10k. In terms of a backup, I think he's pretty good. I then moved on. I had a look at Czech Ndoye. I think he used to play for Birmingham. I think I compared him with Philip Billing here, as you can see, and he wasn't a million miles off being Philip Billing, and actually as a backup to Philip Billing, and again a contract that would be less than 10k, I think it's worth at least putting the bidding. Whether we actually go ahead and confirm that as a transfer or not, I'm not 100% sure, but definitely worth looking at. The next player I had a look at was Darren Fletcher, and although he looks pretty good, surprisingly good actually for a 35-year-old Darren Fletcher, he wanted about 30k a week, and I decided no, that's too much money for a player that's not that good. And really, after having a look at Adil Rami and Cech and Doi, the only players that really caught my eye, I mean, I had a look here at Maicon, the former Brazilian right back. I mean, he's still a Brazilian right back. He's not a former one of those at all. He wanted a lot of money. I decided not to. Eduardo, he's not very good. It was basically those two, Rami and Cech and Doi, and that was about it in terms of free transfers. Both, though, I think could provide some much needed depth. The next place I had a look then was the loan market. Angel Gomez was available to be loaned for not too much wages, so I put a bid in for him. Did take a quick spy at a few others as well, but nothing really jumped out until I found Troy Parrott. Again, 10k a week to bring in Troy Parrott. That's a definite option up front. Somebody I know he gets really good later on in FM. Perhaps not so much in the first season, but an option nonetheless. If he's cheap, we can bring him in. It's squad depth. That's exactly what we're looking for. I also did find DeAndre Yedlin, and as we'll get onto a little bit later, the defence is definitely somewhere that I want to improve. Nemanja Matic is available on a loan as well, somebody that I'm very interested in. However, we couldn't offer him a contract at this stage because of the wage budget, although he's definitely something that I'm going to go and look at again, I think. The next area where I think Bournemouth's season went wrong this year is the defence, and it's an area that I'm going to try and put to rights on deadline day today. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do it, but we are going to try and do that because Bournemouth conceded the third most amount of goals in the season. Only Villa and Norwich conceded more than them. They conceded 64 goals this year, and they also kept the joint least amount of clean sheets, only 5 clean sheets out of 37 games. They've obviously got one game to play to see if they can stay up. That's not good enough. The defence, as you can see it here then, is made up of Nathan Ake and some players that I'd probably say are a little bit subpar compared to him. I mean, Aaron Ramsdale is not a bad goalkeeper. Alongside Ake is Steve Cook, the captain. Again, not a bad player, actually, if you have a look at his attributes. He's not a bad player. I'm not sure he's top quality, and he's definitely somebody we can upgrade on. But that's going to be an area I'm going to be looking at. Again, the fullbacks, we've got Jack Stacey and Sergio Rico. Both not great, although we are, of course, missing the likes of Adam Smith from this area too, and Charlie Daniels, who, with their long-term injuries, we're not going to be able to use for a while. Again, if there is the possibility to bring in a fullback, I'm going to look into it. DeAndre Yedlin was somebody who came up in the loans, so maybe that's something we can do. But as a focus, I think I'm going to look for a partner for Nathan Ake, somebody who is probably just a little bit better on the ball than Steve Cook. We'll see. So here I am then looking at some potential defenders to sign. The first place I looked was for some ball-playing defenders that would be interested in joining. Somebody similar perhaps to Nathan Ake. I think it would be nice to have 2 Nathan Akes if that was possible, so that we're not relying on Nathan Ake to be the one bringing the ball out of the defence and playing the passes. The first defender that I decided to have a look at was Christopher Ayer. Obviously, I think most people will know he becomes pretty good in FM. He's playing at Celtic at the start of the game. However, after negotiating for a while, I realised that they were going to want quite a lot of money. Decided to abandon that plan and instead had a look at Eric Garcia here. I'm not sure Eric Garcia would necessarily be an upgrade. I did put in a bid, though, to loan him where we pay 100k a month. I'm not sure it's going to be accepted. And having looked at the rest of the list, I just decided to abandon this plan as well. Instead, what I was going to do is have a look through the Premier League teams. When I'm thinking about a defender, actually, it's needs must at the moment. I want a defender that has Premier League experience, someone who's not going to have time to settle in, that type of thing. Christian Kabasele came to mind. I decided I'll put a bid in for him. They would accept quite a low bid, actually. However, they wanted to make sure that they had time to sign a replacement first. Obviously, this is deadline day. The chances of that actually happening are quite slim. So I thought, big brain play. I'll offer them a defender instead. So I decided to put Jack Simpson in the deal as a player to exchange. And eventually they did accept a bid of around about 10 million up front with some future money if he plays enough games. Similarly, I thought actually Jamal Lascelles. So far we've got Kabasele, we've got Lascelles. I think both would be an upgrade on Steve Cook. Similar bid for Jamal Lascelles here. You see I've offered Jack Simpson again. Poor Jack Simpson. I don't think he's a bad player. However, I think Lascelles would be an upgrade and would help us out. Those are the two really that I'm focusing on then for defenders. I did have a look at Ben Godfrey, but he's going to be way too much money. So I quickly gave up on that one. And that was really it. Those are going to be the two options we're going to go for, I think. Jamal Lascelles or Christian Kabasele. Either of those I'd be happy with. The next area that I've highlighted as an issue with this Bournemouth squad this season, something that I think they struggled with, and having spoken to some Bournemouth fans, something they agreed with, was the players' mentality not necessarily being focused on the season. Perhaps their minds were elsewhere, especially those players whose contracts were going to expire at the end of the season. You see here on the screen, I have highlighted there are 7 players whose contracts are due to expire at the end of the season, as well as Harry Wilson's loan being up. That's a lot of players who are potentially thinking about their next move or trying to go to a different team. None more pressing than Ryan Fraser. Ryan Fraser, who is a really good player. He's been excellent for Bournemouth in the past. However, somebody said to me that since January onwards, his mind was not at Bournemouth. He was thinking about his next team. Obviously, this came to a fore at the end of the season where he refused to play in the games after the COVID crisis because he didn't want to pick up an injury, didn't want to sign that short-term contract extension, which I suppose is kind of fair enough. However, that doesn't help Bournemouth to stay up. So what I'm going to do, and this might be a pretty bold move, is actually I'm thinking, let's nip that in the bud early. Let's sell any player that doesn't want to be here. Let's try and get some money from Ryan Fraser. That's also going to fund our defensive player targets that we're looking at. Maybe even some more attacking ones, as we'll come on to in a second. So I'm going to offer out Ryan Fraser. I think I'm going to ask for about £20 million. I'm going to transfer list him. Let's see if we get any nibbles on that offer, because I think that could be quite important. I think it's controversial, but I think it can work. Let's do it. The final area that I think Bournemouth needed to have addressed before this season is in the attack. It sounds almost cliched to say that you need a 20-goal-a-season striker to stay in the Premier League, but that's exactly what Bournemouth needed. They only had the 4th lowest number of shots out of any Premier League team this season. They had the 2nd lowest number of shots on target. Only Sheffield United had a lower number of shots, which in itself is kind of an interesting fact considering how well they've done this year. But I think actually looking at the options that Bournemouth have in their team, they've got Callum Wilson, who is very, very decent, actually. If we have a look at his attributes, he's a really good goal scorer, really good striker. However, in terms of backups, you got Josh King, perhaps more suited to playing on the wing as well with his attributes. Not a bad player, only 7 vision though, that's pretty low. And then even actually IRL towards the end of the season, Bournemouth were relying on Dom Solanke to score them goals. I'm not sure any team needs to be relying on Dom Solanke to score them goals, although he did score a couple recently, I suppose. And so I went about looking for a brand new striker for Bournemouth. I was kind of stabbing in the dark a little bit here. I just decided we'll look for a complete forward because that's going to kind of show that they can do a little bit of everything. I had to take the parameters down quite a lot. I did find Andre Gray though, who was on the transfer list, and he actually doesn't look bad. If I did compare him there with Josh King, he looks better. He's available for 5.75 million. So a bid has been lodged for Andre Gray. I then had a look at Odsonne Edouard, somebody I've used in FM. He is very good. He wanted a little bit too much though. They wanted a little bit too much up at Celtic. And that took me to Alexander Mitrovic. Mitrovic, available for less than 10 million up front, 10 million in the future too. I think that's a very handy player to bring in. He's going to fight for the cause. That's also going to help the club mentality, I think. He might get sent off a bit, but he's definitely going to fight for the cause. So Mitrovic, a bid has been made for him as well. And so there they are then, the outgoing bids. We've got our depth players, we've got our defenders, we've got our attackers too. We're also hoping for some incoming bids for Ryan Fraser. If they don't come in for Ryan Fraser, we're not necessarily going to be able to afford anyone here. Maybe a couple of the players with 12 million to spend. We will see. It's going to be an interesting last day. Let's continue and see what we get. All right, so we've had some bids accepted. We also have had some bids come in for Ryan Fraser. Let's go and have a look at those first of all. So Newcastle have made a bid of 12 million for Ryan Fraser, and Crystal Palace have bid 15. I mean, that's a little bit more like it from Crystal Palace. Let's ask for 21 and see what they go with. 16. Let's push it up. Let's go 19. Well, we don't necessarily need that. They've withdrawn 19. That's not so good. Right, it comes down to Newcastle here then. They've asked for 12. They look unwilling to go much higher. Let's go 19. They've also withdrawn. This is bad. Not so good. I'm going to offer out Ryan again. Let's go for 18.75. We really do need him to go if we're going to be able to sign any of these players, really. Let's have a look at the ones that have been accepted. So our loan offer for Troy Parrott, that's been accepted. That's good. DeAndre Yedlin, the loan has been accepted for him as well. That is 30k a week, though. That's quite a lot of money. Considering we've got 60k left, I'm not so sure about it. Kabasele has been accepted, so has Lascelles. If both have been accepted, it's kind of thinking about which one do we want to prioritise here. Both want quite a lot of wages. I'm probably more tempted by Lascelles, so let's go with him first. Important player, 68. It's taking it down a little bit. 48k. That is a done deal. We can still offer one for Kabasele as well then. In fact, I think I might come back to that. Let's have a look at the strikers first. I'm thinking if we use up our wage budget in prospective transfers, we might not be able to use it on the other players. So let's be a little bit tactical about this. Mitrovic or Gray? Well, I want Mitrovic more. However, we can probably afford Gray better with our money. I'm going to go for Mitrovic. Let's start with him. He wants to be a regular starter. Squad player? See, there we go. We can't offer the amount of money that we need to. This is going to be a problem. We need to sell Ryan Fraser, really. Let's go through and see what happens here. Right, we've got more bids, at least for Fraser. 12 million from Palace. That's not very much money, Palace. Let's see. 17? Right, 17. That's good enough for me. I think he's going to go for that. I'm going to reject this bid from Newcastle. It's not quite enough. It's now 9 a.m. We've still got time. And you see here, Lascelles' move has been delayed. So we've agreed to delay the deal and we're just going to hope it works out. The deadline then is today. Let's take part. We've got inboxes to look through here. Ndoye is set to sign 63k for Ndoye. We're going to say yes to that. We're going to have a look at Yedlin's ready to come. I might just leave that. Right, Alexander Mitrovic has snubbed us. We were expecting that to happen. Let's offer again. Right, they've accepted the same bid. That's good. That still might happen. Ryan Fraser is going to leave the club for 17 million. Adil Rami, I'm going to say yes to bringing him in. Troy Parrott's going to come in. Gomez, I might... The only reason I'm saying Yedlin, I don't know, is because of the fact that he wants 30k a week. Is this going to affect us getting Mitrovic? We have to make a decision now anyway. Let's bring in Yedlin. Let's see if we can get it to work. I might say no to Angel Gomez. I think that's what we're going to do. Sermon offer as well. I mean, that might help with... What weight? You're on 35k. Right. See you later, Andrew Sermon. You can go. Check Ndoye, first man through the door. He is in. I think he looks like a very decent backup. That's what we were looking for with Check Ndoye's 3 stars, according to the coaches. He's doing exactly what we wanted him to do. He's 6'4". He's going to be a bit of a destroyer in that midfield if we need him. Mitrovic isn't currently interested. This is bad. Let's declare interest as top target. Let's see if we can make him interested. Rami is also in. There he is. He's going to be another backup centre-back. Again, 3 stars. That's solid. Only on 9.75k. Impact sub, Adil Rami's a bit of a big name as well. I think that is a useful player to add to our numbers. Troy Parrott has come in. Again, very good. He might actually improve over the course of the season too. He's actually already pretty good. There's another player up front as a bit of a backup as well. Yedlin, that's gone through. That's because of the loans. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. He was on big wages anyway. We've got 7 hours to try and get Alexander Mitrovic to sign, as well as Jamal Lascelles. Jamal Lascelles is done. There we go. Jamal Lascelles is in. Perfect. Jack Simpson's gone. Jamal Lascelles has come in. 8 million can rise to 21.5 million pounds. 6 hours for Mitrovic then. All right, Sermon's off. Sermon's going to West Brom. 1.3 million in. We've got 14 mil to spend. We've got enough money to get Mitrovic in. Can we actually offer for him again? We can. Same bid. Right, they're accepting it again. This time I'm hoping because we've scouted him, because we've made him a top target, that he wants to join us. Let's see. He's not interested. Keep offering until the deadline. If we don't get another striker in, I suppose it won't be the end of the world. Maybe we need to look for another one. Andre Gray, what are you up to? All right, from one fiery striker to another, I've just lodged a bid for Alfredo Morelos. I'm a little bit worried that he won't get a work permit, but it is desperate measures at this stage. We need that goal scorer. I know that Morelos can score goals. He's scored goals at Rangers. A bid has been lodged. Let's see what happens. Right, he's very interested at least. Let's offer him this contract. Important player. Will allow the player to treat the club as a stepping stone. I guess so. Let's see if we can get him in. 90k. I don't think he's going to get the work permit. Submitting this offer with a wage of 35k would be enough to earn points. Well, I guess we're going to do that then. He will be able to earn points here. We're going to offer him 46.5. Let's give him a big one of those. Let's put the relegation release clause at 0. Hope this works. He wants a lot of money. We haven't got a lot of money. In fact, I can probably adjust these budgets a little bit here. That is done. Okay, if he gets a work permit, we may be able to get Morelos in. I'm going to make one last bid for Mitrovic, I think. He's not interested at all then. So Mitrovic is not going to come in. We are 5 hours away and he's just not interested in joining. Morelos, on the other hand, is interested. It's whether he gets a work permit now. So the initial work permit has been rejected. We're going to appeal. We have 2 hours and 30 minutes to go. We may not get a striker. So I'm going to make one last play for Andre Gray. However, I actually think the deadline may beat us here. We may not be able to get this striker in. I guess that's going to be something maybe to look at in January. It's unfortunate. We have got Troy Parrott in. Let's hope he can cover it if this Morelos work permit is rejected for a second time. So it's been accepted, the bid for Gray. I guess we can offer the contract. Let's see what happens. There may not be enough time to complete it, look. Contract is in, 59k. Let's see what happens. Gray is set to sign. Do you know what? Gray can sign. It's an hour and 45 to go. Do we get Gray in now or do we hold out for Morelos? Now I want Morelos. Oh, this is tough. I don't know if Morelos is going to get accepted or not. I can't delay this for Andre Gray. The question now comes down. This is a real dilemma. Do I want Andre Gray or do I want to hold off? Is it Morelos or bust? Is that the thing here? Or do we go for Andre Gray for 6.75 million overall? I don't know if I want him. I don't know if I'll use him. I'm going to hold out for Morelos and hope that it gets done. And if it doesn't, then there you go. There's not a lot we can do about it. I'm going to cancel this bid. If that ends up getting us relegated, I mean, that would be a real shame. It's okay, everybody. It is okay. Morelos is in. Ooh, that was a risky move that we've made there, but Morelos has been granted his work permit. He's coming in. We're going to spend 10 million right before the deadline, only an hour and 15 before the window slams shut on Alfredo Morelos. He's going to be our fiery striker to hopefully score those goals. It is done. Morelos is in. Lascelles is in. It's been an interesting deadline day. I am hoping that these transfers here that you can see. Let's go to the transfer history. I'm hoping that Ndoye, Rami, Parrott, Lascelles, Morelos on deadline day are enough to keep us in this division. I think we can do it. I think those are good signings. We've got the backups in Ndoye and Rami. We've got a new centre-back in Lascelles. We've got a new striker in Morelos, as well as Parrott behind that as well. I think that is going to help. In the end, we've spent 51 million in the summer, and we've actually made 48 million. I think we've done all right. Ryan Fraser will be a loss, but we can change the tactics a little bit. I think we're a little bit weak on the wings anyway. I think we might go with packing out the midfield and getting 2 strikers up front, Morelos and probably Wilson. We'll have a look at the tactics and everything in the next episode. But that has been our transfer deadline day in Saving Bournemouth. I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to this man hopefully scoring us the goals that we need. Hopefully not getting sent off too much. But it's going to be fun either way, isn't it? I'm going to end the episode there. We'll be back with the first game of the season next time, where we look at the tactics, we look at how we're going to play. And yeah, there will be 4 more episodes following this one. 5 episodes in total, 1 season to see if we can save Bournemouth. Thank you very much for watching today. If you've enjoyed this video, please do subscribe to the channel. Please do leave comments. Please do like the video. Do all those things. You know how much that helps me out. And I'll leave it at that for today. Thank you again, once again for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.